give you today with your radio show and your podcast. Remember, it's not where you start. And as long as God is in everything you do, it's going to get to a larger scale. But don't lose him.
That's right.
In nothing you do. Because you can get so big to where, wait a minute, maybe I need to change my topics. Let me start getting into the gossiping. You know, people love a good gossip. I'm just saying, for an example, people love a good gossip. You know, you put negative stuff on there. You got 1,000, you got 50,000 shares on something. But when it's something about God, you know, people tend to just shy away from it.
They get scared.
Exactly. But the thing of it is, people watch you. They watch everything you do on a daily basis. They watch how you move. And I always tell people it's about the light in us. When we have people that dislike what we do or not being a part of what it is we're doing, they're just either confused by our transition or they're not ready for what we are already accomplished in God. But that don't mean to stop. We're still in the race. We're going to be tested daily. We're going to come across situations that's going to get you frustrated, mad, ready to throw the towel in. I can't do this no more. Lord, Jesus, I've been doing everything right, but I just don't understand. Why am I continuously being attacked? It's a test, babe. The test comes daily. They won't ever stop. I've been celibate a year and a half now. First time ever in my life. Because let me just take y'all to the beginning.
Okay.
My first love, well, a father's love for a daughter's is supposed to set the tone on what her relationship should be like when it comes to men. My father, whom I've learned when I was about 7 years old, was actually my stepdad. See, he had an affair on my mom had an affair on him, and I was a result of that affair, and then my stepbrother was a result of that affair. But my stepdad treated me so bad. In my eyes, this is my daddy. I don't know no different. But his treatment towards me was just terrible and awful, and I couldn't understand it. So by the time I hit age 6, I believe 5 or 6 years old, that's when my real dad came into the picture. And I always remember him, birthday, holidays, and I always remember he come around because my stepdad would treat me bad when that man came somewhere around. He didn't live in Danville like I did. But I knew he was around because every time he did, the treatment got worse. So that right there kind of spewed what my life was going to be like when I got older. By age 5, I was sexually assaulted. At 5 years old, I'm supposed to be playing with Barbie dolls and books and coloring books. No, I'm being fondled. So my innocence was taken away from me at 5. Now here I got this stepdad, angry stepdad, this man penetrating me at 5 to where I became so rebellious. By age 11 through 13, I was just off the chain, suicidal. I mean, I was bullied going to school. When we ride home from the school bus, I would always sit at the front so I could get a jump ahead to run home. It was always boys. It wasn't girls. It was always boys. And by the time I, got into my young adult years, I had dropped out of school. I just didn't have a common care for anything. Now, mind you, this is my normalcy. They sweep stuff up under the rug. We got whoopings for telling what was happening with us. Swept up under the rug. So there was a spiral of rebelliousness that came with that. So I was like, shoot, forget it. I don't want to be in school. I was already being set up to be grown anyway. 13 years old, I was raped. I was raped at age 13. Life for me was just like one situation after the next. We talk about God. I didn't want to have a conversation about God. If there was such a God, why was all this happening to me?
Right.
But somehow in the pit of my mind, I always kept thinking it could be a lot worse.
Wow.
So going on, speeding up time frame, dropping out of school, I ended up getting into some trouble, facing 60 years in prison. And when I laid up in that cell, and at the time I had 3 kids, as I laid up into that cell, I'm crying like a big baby. All that hardness, that thugness, that all went out the window. I'm crying for my mama now. My mama and dad was on drugs real bad at this time. Well, my stepdad at this time, they on drugs real bad. And so I'm laying up in the cell. I'm crying because I just want to go home. I want to get out. I just felt closed in. But see, that was God forcing me in a corner. because he's trying to show me some things that I wasn't even ready for at the time. While I'm laying up in this cell, there was another woman in there. And I went to court, and they ended up setting my bond at $2,000. I'm crying, throwing a fit. Because, you know, $2,000 back then was a lot of money, and my family couldn't come get me out of jail. I'm crying, throwing a fit. I get back to the cell, and she's laying up in there. She said, so what is your bond? I said, $2,000. She smirked. I'm looking at her, girl, I would knock that smirk up off your face. I ain't got no $2,000. I'm trying to get up here. I'm crying. I want to go home. I said, well, what is you up in here for? She said, I don't even want to talk about it. Wow. Later on that night, we were in our cell, and I remember just laying there just praying to God, like, Lord, this is just too much. I just want to be home. I promise, Lord, you let me go. I won't do this again. Me and her ended up having a moment. And she said, I said, well, what are you in here for? She said, girl, you been doing all that crying since you been here. At least you got a bond. I said, well, what is you in here for? You still ain't told me. She said, I'm in here for murder. Me and her had the exact same situation. I set up a guy that was taking good care of me. He was an older guy. He was an older man taking care of me. I set him up to be robbed, not to be nobody to hurt him. I just scare him a little bit. You know, he'll give you the money. And we did that, but by God's grace, nothing bad happened. She did the exact same thing, but the man ended up dying. So I gasped, and I just laid there like, Lord, I'm crying about $2,000. She ain't ever getting out. Right. You know what I'm saying? So right then, God was showing me even then. See, he was sparing me because he understood at 5 years old when I was sexually assaulted, I had no control over that. So I allowed you to go through this because I'm going to show you some things. Even that, then I'm not comprehending. I get out of jail. I'm like, okay, I started to, you know, get on the right path just a little bit, but then these relationships with these men was just so much turmoil. You know, they didn't love me. I was forcing myself in this relationships with these guys. I knew they didn't want to be bothered me. They didn't love me. It was what they can get out of me. Because, see, I already set the tone going into the relationship, being vulnerable. I'm already telling them, you know, I went through this in my life, and he treated me like that, and baby, you need this. I'm catered to him. I'm doing everything a wife should. So why would I even expect him to to do even more for me? So anyway, to make a long story short, time spews on down, still going through turmoil. I finally get married, found my husband, just thinking everything is this is just the greatest gift to God right now. This is my transition. This is my time to change. I'm not in the streets. I'm not doing nothing, the bad stuff no more. I'm just all about this relationship, taking care of my children. And I was actually 6 months pregnant. Went to the doctor, you know, had my doctor's visit, and the doctor told me that I was, you know, I contracted HIV. I said, what? He said, you contracted HIV? I said, no, that can't be right. Because I've been getting tested all this far. Yeah. And if that's to be the case, it would have had to come from my husband. And mind you, let me take it back 2 years earlier. My sister contracted HIV in 97. She was on drugs real bad. All the family knew. Nobody wanted to be around her. Nobody didn't want to eat around her. Nobody wanted to have anything but me. I opened my door graciously. Because, see, I'm not ignorant to anything that goes on in the world. Because what God can bring to you, God can take away. So speeding up a year going past, there was rumors that my husband and my sister was having relations. Me, I'm being naive. They said it wasn't happening. I asked, even though my intuition was telling me something wasn't right. But I trusted their word. Wasn't nothing happening. So when I got my diagnosis, it came as a shock because, you know, I didn't have it before. He hugged me around my waist and he said, well, I'm sorry. I said, sorry? Sorry, what? But still again, they didn't come up about him and my sister. Remember, they was denying it. I got out of the relationship immediately. I couldn't do it no more. I said, Lord, what else could possibly happen? I'm doing everything. Jesus. By this time, I done went back to school, got my GED, got out of that relationship, getting myself together, going through this transition, just Lord. And at this point, I'm halfway there. being submissive to God. I'm halfway there because I'm still under the assumption that I can do this on my own. So as time go by, 5 years into the process, these people looked me up. They was like, "Well, we doing these different segments on people that's living with HIV with families. Would you like to participate?" I'm like, sure. I ain't ever been ashamed of it. I hated what I had to go through for it to happen, but yeah, absolutely. I said, my sister got it too. Is it all right if she comes? They said, absolutely. They gave us some vouchers. Did a full makeup, makeover. They gave us some vouchers, some food vouchers. They did this whole full spread of food. Gave us gift cards, the whole nine. I mean, just pampered us. And it was about 12 of us. Everybody went, and it got down to just me and my sister. And I was like, "You want me to go?" She said, "No, I'll go." I said, "Okay." She gets up there. Because I've always been curious. I knew she had it, but I was trying to figure out, how she get it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't ever get that deep with her with the conversation. She starts to talk. She says her name, how she contracted it, being, doing drugs, that kind of thing, the whole 9 yards. And then she started crying. So I get up and I go over there, the rubber. It's okay to comfort her. It's gonna be all right, sis. We got this. It's gonna be all right. And she kind of pushed me back, and then she just started saying, because I love my sister. My sister opened her doors for me. My sister always had been there for me when nobody wanted to be violent. When people was treating me funny, she always have loved me no matter what. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, why is she making this about me? This is your time to talk to you about your experiences. Why is she making this about me? And then she just stopped and she said, "It's because of me. My sister have it." And I mean, y'all, I went through so many different worlds of emotions. I was mad. I was angry. I felt betrayed. I was crying. I was hurt. I don't even remember if I even did my story that day because I was just so blown and I was so hurt. And I just like, Lord, I don't get it. I don't get it. Here's another traumatic situation for me. We rode. I must have been the longest, quietest ride home. And I don't think I spoke to her for about 8 months, 8 or 9 months, because I was just so in my feelings. But then I started doing a lot of research on it, and I started going to support groups, to better understand it. And I was going to the support group. We meet twice a month, and every time I would go, they get to talking about what Bob then went and seen his maker. Next time I go, Mary that went on to see her maker. I said, "Listen, Jeff, next time I come up in here and they talking about somebody who wouldn't seen their maker, I won't be back. This is depressing." I came back that next time. Well, y'all know jokes. I said, "You know what? I done packed up my stuff and I walked out that door." He said, "Where are you going?" I said, No. This is not what God has for me. No, this is not. This is too depressing. So exactly. I walked up out of there, honey, and let me tell you, by 2009, they was giving me 5 days to live. And I remember my youngest daughter, Whisper, she was probably 7 years old at the time, was trying to feed me. I had dropped down to 110 pounds. My daughter was trying to feed me, force feed me, and I couldn't eat. It had gotten that bad. My social worker came in. She said, "Monica, I think you need to go to the hospital." I said, "I'm not going to the hospital. I'm going to be right here with my kids." See, I've always worked to support my kids. I've always did laundry, did meals. We prayed together, all this stuff. She said, "If you don't go to the hospital, you ain't going to be here long enough to be feeding your kids nothing." She said, "I'm just being honest with you." Got up, packed my bags. I looked at my kids like, this is going to be the last time I seen them. Went on to the hospital. They sitting there talking about my prognosis as if I wasn't laying there. But while they were doing that, I was praying out to the Lord in a way I ain't ever prayed before. I'm telling you, when I said prayed out to the Lord in a way I ain't ever prayed before, I didn't care who walked in that room and heard me praying. And in the midst of my praying, I asked God for 3 things specifically. I said, "Lord, please restore my health. Because if I'm to serve you, that's right, I need to be strong in my ministry." Second, I said, "Lord, let my cup runneth over. Give me the wealth that I need. So when I'm out ministering, I don't have to worry about how I'm going to get to and from or if my bills are going to get paid. The third thing, I said, Lord, bring a husband in my life that loves you just as much as I do.
Yes.
So when I am working and serving you, I ain't got to be worrying about the art of confusion because we all be on one accord. So let me tell you, not only did God transform my life, honey, I have an associate's, a bachelor's, a master's, a doctorate. I'm healthy, full restoration in my health. He didn't give me the money to let my cup runneth over, but he gave me all the resources I need. So I have a successful income tax business for the past 16 years, and I've got more clients this year. On top of that, my ministry continuously flow. I done helped 50 individuals gain their GEDs.
Yes.
3 of them actually is in the nursing programs. Probably should be done by now.
Beautiful.
And, you know, the vast majority of them are working. So, but this wasn't even about me.
Yes.
Nothing we do or experience in our life is about us.
Right.
But the moment I stopped caring about what people thought, what people think, what people feel, or how people see me, was the minute my true healing began.
That's right.
Because I want people to see me for my truth. I'm not hiding behind that anymore. That's where my book come into play, because everything I've experienced in my life is in that book. And guess what? I didn't badmouth nobody. I didn't talk down on nobody. I gave my experiences, and I also talked about my wrongdoing. Because see, don't get it twisted. We got to hold ourselves accountable for our own actions as well.
Amen.
We can't say it's John, Jack, Judy, Paul, Marie is the reason why. No, take accountability.
That's right.
And so that is the reason why I'm telling you I am here today living well. I don't operate in the flesh anymore. I'm strictly in the spirit. When I say I let my flesh die, I remember times where somebody could call me up and say such and such said, you said, girl, come on, where my shoes at? Because we finna go holler at such and such. Because I know I didn't say that. But now the person I am today, you know what I tell them? Girl, let's just pray for her.
Yeah.
That's right.
She got a lot going on in her life right now. Trust me when I tell you this. And let's just pray for her. That's where I am at in life right now. And I will continue to be. I'm fully submissive to God. It's not submission, but submissive to God. And he did reveal to me my husband.
Oh, you okay?
He revealed it. He revealed my husband and said I would even bear a child for this man. There's been different men from all different walks of life. Good jobs, making 6 figures. Wealth, you know what I'm saying? And all the things that I used to want in a man. You gotta look good, gotta have money. I don't even want it. Because there are wolves amongst the sheep.
Yes.
I'm straight.
That's real.
Because God given me something and I'm holding him to that. I don't want to delay anything God has for me. He gave me a promise. I don't want to further delay it. Because you know when you stop trusting in him, after you to pray to him about something, you further delaying what God has for you. So stop doing that. If you pray to God about something, you put it on the table, don't go back revisiting it. It's already done. And always know that Satan knows your future too.
That's right.
And he know your weaknesses. He know what buttons to do to push you. He know how to make you feel unworthy. He know how to make you feel unloved. And even when he bringing those attacks to you, just, Lord, I trust in you. Because this ain't even about me. And don't look at the problem. Look at the outcome. Say to yourself, what is this going to do for me? As bad as it may seem, this problem is setting me up for something greater.
Yes.
And all that I went through in life, everything, and people ask me all the time, they say, if you had a chance to go back and change anything about your life, what would it be? I say absolutely nothing.
All right.
Because the woman I am today can appreciate the woman I was before. And I'm going to end this on this note.
That's powerful.
Somebody asked me, they said, if you can go back, this is my cousin asked me this actually, Merlin Barber. She said, if you can go back to your 5-year-old self again, what would you tell that little girl? I was kind of blown back by the question. I was trying to sit there and think, where's she going with this? She said, wouldn't you tell her you love her? And what else would you say to her? I said, you know, I could tell her, we are going to cross many bridges. It's gonna seem like it's too much for you to bear. But trust me, the results, baby. You just hang in there, the results, baby, it's worth the glory.
All right.
So y'all ask yourself that at what point in your life, what traumatic situation have you faced in your life? If you go back to that moment before that happened and say, you see yourself, what would you tell yourself? What would you say? You always love, because that's God. God is nothing but love. And if anybody tell you anything different, then they are a lie, and God does not live in them. And we were talking, y'all was talking about the police officer and the young man about being killed. Let me just explain something to you. God uses every situation for his glory. So even the police officer that kills people, remember, God is using him as well. God didn't tell him to go out there and do what he did. But there's something that's going to transpire that's going to wake him up too. Because if Jesus Christ laid up on that pole and said to the Lord, looked up and said, forgive them for they know not what they do, then why can't we forgive people? That is when you know you have God in you.
Amen.
That is when you know you truly have God in you. When you can look at your brother and your sister and look at their circumstances and know, and you know that you can extend them a loving hand, even if they wronged you. You can extend them a loving hand. Let's not talk down. They talk about how grown people know better. She should have been raising her kids better. Even a grown adult, if they was never taught or never told, how could you be upset with them?
That's right.
That's why we are where we are in life, so that we can be the light that they ain't never been exposed to. So I'll leave y'all on that note, and I thank you guys so much for having me here. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I will be at the church tomorrow to speak more. I don't want to do too much because I got some powerful things going on tomorrow. But I thank you guys so much for having me here.
That's right. Praise God.
Anybody have any questions or anything? Anybody good?